Good morning, John Hoyt here. This is Security Tactics. Just looking to continue to share strategies and tactics that you can use to help better secure your organization. And today, just want to tell a quick story from my past of an incident where I was a security engineer doing the typical grunt work of uh, responding to tickets, and particularly tickets for requests for opening access. Somebody would submit a ticket and say, hey, I want to be able to allow this open to the internet, whatever it might be, an application, a service, a server. And those tickets come in, they don't usually have a lot of information or didn't have a lot of information for the context of what it was, why they wanted it, those kind of things. And so you took it based off of what the ports were or the services were they wanted to allow open to the internet. When those, came in, you would, still just do your typical security enumeration, scanning of the system, the application, to find out more if there were any vulnerabilities that you needed to remediate or ask them to remediate. And, for this specific instance, I scanned this application, this server, the services, nothing came back, nothing major, not even, maybe even mediums, vulnerabilities, nothing that was concerning. But started to enumerate more, just to find out, okay, well, nothing came back. I could have just said, hey, this looks good, approved, but just kept digging and scanning this, just enumerating more of the application, and found it was a web app, and that it did have a front end that I could go and view and play around with. And as I looked at the front end, the web app, I found that it looked to be some kind of query application or some kind of query front end for a database, and which was interesting. It's different, unusual, not the normal, type of request for something open to the internet, some kind of application. So that stood out. And as I played with this application, I began to just test out, okay, well, what can I query? How would I query what's behind what the database is, the back end, and found, okay, I could query a database. There was an actual database behind the scenes that it was connected to, and started just playing around and just seeing what I could find, what was in there, what kind of tables, what kind of databases, etc. And as I began to do that, I began to find, more information that popped up, and concerning information, and even sensitive information. And, it was like alarm bells started ringing and glowing, the red alarm was glowing. And so became very concerned about it, and had to validate some of the information to verify that it was actual real information. So did all that, found out, hey, this is bad. This is not good. I don't know why this person wants this open, wide open, with no authentication front end to it, literally none. And so started finding out more, requesting more. But as I began to, it was super obvious to me that this was not something you want open to the internet, right? And so began to communicate that to people, to the business owners, the application owners, and they just didn't connect the dots. They didn't see this. To them, it was like, hey, we've got users that need this. We've got to test this. We've got to get it up and running. We've got to be able to deploy it as soon as possible, et cetera, right? Typical kind of like battle between the security people and the business owners, the application owners. And so as I did that, I started kind of getting heated about this. I'm like, look, how do you not see this is bad, right? This could get us, it's one of those incidents where you're like, you don't want this to somebody to find this, especially a bad guy, a bad person. And had to really, was kind of flabbergasted that I had to explain it, but still tried my best. And as I did, I continued to kind of just lose my patience. But it was one of those things where, somebody kind of gave me some advice that really changed my mindset, where at that time, I really was still in the hero mindset of security of, hey, I've got to save the day. I'll follow my sword. I will not let this open. I will not allow this to be exposed, etc. And that obviously creates this tension and this battle between you and whoever the requester is, and potentially business people that run the business potentially. And the advice I got was, don't try to be the hero all the time, right? Don't put the hero gear on. Be more the advisor. And that switched my mindset, to think differently about how I approached the challenges of communicating what the risks were and what they should do or what they shouldn't do. And I used to just be like, no, draw the line in the sand. You can't do this. Sorry, it's not happening. And sometimes there is those things that you just like, look, you just hold the line. And sometimes you just say no just to see how bad they want it, right? Don't tell the people. But that's one of those things that you can do sometimes, and you're like, sorry, no, can't do that. And then if they want it bad enough, then you can start talking about what mitigations you can do to make sure it's secure. But really changing that mindset to the way, I heard it from this person was, be Yoda, not Luke. Don't be the hero. Don't be Luke, where you're going in and you're trying to save the day. You're the advisor. You're like the consultant. Even if you aren't a consultant, you're internal. You're still doing your best to advise them on what the risks are, what you recommend as the subject matter expert, what you think they should do, what you think they shouldn't do from a risk perspective. And that changes your mindset. It changes your stress, to be honest with you, where you're really trying to before, if this happens, it's on me. I'm going to fall, and I'm not going to let this pass, right? You shall not pass. Well, this switches that mindset to where you're like, listen, I highly recommend that you don't allow this open to the internet. These are the reasons why. This is the risk. This is what could happen. This is maybe how much it could cost if it does happen. And you inform them. And then the powers that be, at the end of the day, make a business decision. And maybe that business decision is to allow it, because the risks that if it did happen financially are much less than the potential revenue earned, if they need to push something out quicker or get it out there sooner, or some window of opportunity from the business side. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be able to say, listen, I've done my due diligence. I've informed you of the risk. And at the end of the day, it's the business decision. And if you decide to do that, that's fine. CYA, be able to say, look, I've told them everything. I've given them everything that I could to make sure that they were made an informed decision whether to allow or not allow this, whatever it might be. And that's, that really helped me tremendously. That's definitely like a sound tactic, a sound strategy to take off the put down the lightsaber, take off the cowl and be like, look, I'm not the hero. I'm just trying to do my job, trying to do my best to inform my customers, my people, that this is what the risk is. And it really did tremendously give me a different perspective on how to go forth and do my job most effectively, and why I'm here, and what is the role of security? What is your role if you're a security person, or if you have that hat, or if you wear that hat? So that helped me a lot. I hope it's something that you could use as well. And go forth. So thank you for watching, and appreciate it. Talk to you later.